From Huntington Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota, this is Tar Heel Illustrated. I'm THI publisher Andrew Jones, and this is a solo version of Three Things because it's 2 a.m. in the East. It is now just turned 1 a.m. Central Standard Time. I got to go solo on this. Everyone else is asleep, which is okay because I'm going to roll through this pretty quickly to discuss North Carolina's 19-17 victory, an escape, if you will, from the Golden Gophers here in the season opener of the 2024 season, and a game that had a lot of storylines in it, an awful lot of storylines. And I'm going to hit on three specific things. And in our coverage on THI, TarHeelIllustrated.com, we've got a ton of other stuff that we're hitting on, including Max Johnson, his injury. Maybe by the time you guys get up in the morning, I will have gotten a little bit more information and we could run something. We're not sure right now if he's flying back with the team. And if we don't have it, by the time you get up, maybe at some point tomorrow afternoon, we'll get some news from UNC about Max Johnson. At least we hope so. All right, let's get into the three things. All right, the Tar Heels defensively were phenomenal. This was the defense that we heard about in the spring, and then we heard about over the last month talking to the players. They talked about playing with freedom. They talked about playing loose. They talked about playing not so systematic, not so stuffed into a box. They talked about playing in an approach, a design, an intent that took advantage of their athletic ability. And you saw an exceptionally athletic defense tonight against the Golden Gophers. And the guy that stood out the most, there were two that really stood out. Amari Campbell, the way he played with the club on his right fist, he knocked out the ball that caused him the fumble that Carolina got 3 points out of. But Jahvaree Ritzie, when we talked to Jahvaree after the game, and if you're a Carolina fan, you got to feel real good for this kid. If you're someone in the media and you've covered him and he's a senior now, and when he came in, you knew all the hype about Jahvaree Ritzie. You knew that you saw flashes at times and kind of wondered when it was all going to come together. It hadn't come together until tonight. It came together tonight. 3 sacks, 6 tackles for Jahvaree, 3 sacks, and the one where he chased down Max Brosmer, the Minnesota quarterback, that was what I just talked about. The athletic ability of this defense, the freedom of this defense, the loose-mindedness of this defense. He never second-guessed what he was doing there. I think at times last year, the last couple of years, even under Jay Bateman, these guys sometimes were flat-footed immediately at the snap. There was some second-guessing. There was some overthinking. This was all just reaction. The gap control, as Mac Brown said, was great tonight from the defense, and Jahvaree Ritzie was outstanding. You win those battles, it opens up that lane for you to be free, for you to take advantage of your athletic ability, and for you to be nasty, chase down a quarterback, bring him to the ground in a big play. I think that with a lot of different guys had their moments defensively tonight. There's no doubt about it. Power Eccles had a couple big moments. Kamen Rucker had a couple of big moments. Stick Lane had some big moments. I thought that Elijah Huzzy had some big moments. A couple of rough PIs on Marcus Allen, but otherwise I thought Marcus played really well. But Ritzie, to me, if you're thinking about the theme of this defense, which we have talked about and written about ad nauseum over the last 8 months, the theme of this defense showed through Jahvaree Ritzie tonight. And that's a very good sign moving forward because now he knows he can have these games. Now you know that Travis Shaw can fall in the fumble that Amari Campbell strips, knocks loose because Travis Shaw was aware. He was playing freer-minded. You know that Eccles, he had the earpiece on. We've been told for the last few weeks it was probably going to be a safety. It wasn't a safety tonight. It was Power Eccles and did a really good job. The stadium may not have been as loud as they expected because of the storms. It kept away an awful lot of the home fans, but it was still loud. And some of the work they had to do was in the end zone where the student section was, and they were very loud. It was full for most of the game in the student section. So you got to love what Jahvaree Ritzie did tonight. For a dude that's wobbled as much as he has, for a guy that just oozes potential to have this kind of game to get this season started, it was a little bit like the kind of game Kamen Rucker had last year against South Carolina to get himself started for the season. I'm not going to say Javaree's going to do that this year, but that was a hell of a start for him, and he was a very happy dude. In fact, it took us forever to get him to come into the interview room because he was hanging out with his mom and his aunt and his girlfriend and her friend, and they were probably lathering him up with all kinds of plaudits because he played a hell of a game. By the way, Minnesota, 244 total yards. And as a sidebar to that, Minnesota, 30 points in the last 2 seasons against North Carolina. Offensively for Carolina, which is another one of the things I want to talk about, only 252 yards. And I saw Twitter, I saw our message boards, I saw what my eyes saw. Max Johnson struggled in the first half. There's no other way around it. They got a couple throws late in the half when they were in 2-minute offense, but they obviously went into the locker room at halftime, simplified some things, and he hit his first 5 pass attempts on their first possession of the third quarter, 17-play drive. They got points on the board, and it looked like he was finding a groove, and then he goes down with the bad injury. I'm not sure 100% what the injury is. Again, like I said a few minutes ago, I'm not going to speculate knee, hip. We heard both. I'm not going to speculate. We'll find out soon enough and how long he'll be out for. So they go to Connor. Connor Harrell comes in. Connor got some valuable snaps. He's going to get valuable reps moving forward. They clearly wanted to eat clock, give the ball to Omarion Hampton, who had 129 yards tonight, and just kind of win that, as Matt called it, an old school Big Ten battle, which is what the Tar Heels did. Connor has got a long way to go, and he needs reps, and he's going to get so much out of the film that he watches later this week. But that play he made when he just did the Connor Harrell creation thing, Mac even said afterward, look, that's the stuff he does. Got a little bit of Drake in there, got a little bit of Sam in there. And we saw in that play where he just made a play. A dude who's got talent made a dude with talent play, and that was enormous in the Tar Heels getting the win. But they had 252 yards. We're going to have to go back and do some research. See, the last time Carolina won a football game, 252 yards on offense. So I'm not going to say the offense played poorly, because I think that this was such a feel-it-out game. Look at the offensive line. You had Howard Sampson at left tackle, played 83 snaps at North Texas. He started tonight. Left guard, true freshman Aiden Banfield. He started. First time in a college game. Center, Austin Vlasky, first start in his career, played 158 snaps throughout his career at Georgia. Right guard, Willie Lampkin. You notice, especially early in the first half, they were running right over Willie. A lot of Omarion's runs went right over Willie. He was mauling people. At one point, Willie made a block that I, for a split second, thought he was the ball carrier. He owned that pathway. And then, of course, Travion Green started at right tackle, his first college start. So you had a lot of things going on here. An older quarterback in a new system, a young quarterback thrown to the fire when the old quarterback is carted off the field. And then you have this very young offensive line. So what the offense did in this game was they opened up enough holes, and they did open some holes for Omarion, and he did a good enough job dragging some defenders, breaking some tackles, keeping the ball. I thought Carolina shortening the game in the second half, whether it was by design or just happened that way, was a good thing for them, because it magnified their ability to capitalize on offensive possessions. Even though they didn't score a touchdown in the second half, they got 4 field goals. And Noah Burnett, I'm going to connect him to the offense. We talked to Noah after the game, 4 for 4 tonight. He kicked 4, I think, against Syracuse last year, 6 against Duke. But let me tell you something, guys. 52 yarders is career long, but he's made 8 in a row from between the 40 and 49 yard line. And this goes back to a guy who struggled at the end 2 years ago. And there were some concerns, but man, ice in the veins. He said, wasn't really nervous. They called a timeout, ice him a little bit, didn't matter. He was able to kick the thing, got it through. 2 kicks in the 40s tonight, 1 in the 50s. I thought it was interesting that they didn't go for the field goal on 4th down to 31, the first possession. But Noah was asked about that, and he actually said, look, they're trying to get some rhythm, trying to establish something. He totally understood it. So the offense did enough. 19 points, 252 yards, not a ton. But the offense did enough, and they capitalized and got points off the one turnover that they forced. The other thing is just the fact that this team escaped. What does this mean? We always ask, what does this mean after these games? North Carolina has been losing football games like this for a while. They did escape Duke last year, but that was a game they almost screwed away. This was a back and forth. When when Minnesota's driving on that last possession, and there's the pass interference against Marcus Allen, and then they complete a couple of plays, and then there's a guy who breaks a couple of tackles, and they're inside the 30, and you think, man, Carolina's in bad. There's that Carolina late game DNA stuff showing up. A holding call in Minnesota was huge. They got it back inside the 30 to the 28, where they attempted the final field goal and missed. They made enough plays. It doesn't matter if there was a penalty on there, because some people said you got lucky because they committed a penalty. You got lucky because their guy missed a couple field goals. He missed a 47-yard field goal. Now, early in the game, he missed a 27-yarder, but he missed a 47-yarder there. That's a long kick. If you're a defense and you force a dude to kick a 47-yard field goal with the game on the line, that's not a terrible spot to be in. College kickers don't regularly make 47-yard field goals. So Carolina did its job defensively. They made enough plays. They had the alertness of Amari Hampton falling on the Connor Harrell fumble. They had the alertness of Travis Shaw falling on the ball that Amari Campbell knocked loose. They were able to play a clean game on special teams. They were able to make some stops when it mattered. 5 3-and-outs defensively. I thought they got Minnesota's quarterback on his heels a little bit. I thought Carolina physically won the physical battle of the game. I thought they were equal or better in the trenches. Defensively, significantly better. Offensively, I don't think that they look worse than Minnesota's offensive line, which returned 4 starters. One guy, first team All Big Ten. A lot of people think it's a first-round draft pick. So Carolina won a game when a lot didn't go well. They lost their quarterback, but they still found ways to win. They still dotted enough I's and crossed enough T's. I hate to be cliche, but that's what they did. And it's about winning games. So you go back to Chapel Hill. You got a win under your belt. Connor got some snaps. You got a couple of extra days to kind of, reevaluate, look at what didn't go well, look at what needs to be fixed, and obviously get Connor ready to be the starting quarterback, because it looks like he'll be that for a while anyway. And it's a good situation for Carolina, given the fact they got a banged-up Charlotte team coming in, then they have Central, then they have JMU. So they have a chance to work their way through these next 3 games, perhaps with a different starting quarterback, and with a new offensive line still kind of finding their way. But tonight against the veteran defensive front, I thought they did well. So Carolina fans should be happy about this. You should be thrilled that you won a game that you could have lost. And some people might think you deserved to lost or should have lost. I don't think that. I think everything kind of evens out in the end. And they got enough stops to get the win tonight. And they had a kicker who made his kicks, and Minnesota didn't make their kicks. And that's part of the game, man. Special teams was 1/3 of the game. Carolina, big advantage there tonight, big advantage in the running game, and I think a big advantage defensively up front. Tar Heels win. They were the better team. 1-0, got Charlotte next week. We will be rolling out a ton of content for you guys over the next week. I'll fly home Friday, maybe pop out another video for the weekend. I'm going to watch a lot of college football, see what the rest of the ACC does. Mac Brown Monday, and we'll go from there. Tar Heels 19, Golden Gophers 17, from Huntington Bank Stadium in warmer than you would expect, Minneapolis. This is AJ, and I appreciate you stopping by.